Hey guys, this is Jason
This is
Douglas.
Adam MacArthur, voice of Yuji Itadori.
This is Derek Snow, the voice of Shinra Kusakabe.
This is Phil Parsons, voice of Kenny the Ripper Ackerman.
It's Merc Nguyen. You're watching Voice of the Heroes. Take it away, Flea Boy.
What's good, everybody? You already know who it is and what it is. And if you don't, it's the one and only one, Flea Boy Jetson. And if you're tuning in for the first time, please don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Also, click that notification bell so you don't miss out on any upcoming interviews or discussions with your favorite heroes or villains from around the world. Today, we have a huge special guest. That's right, man. We have a legend, one of them ones, like we like to say, man. And I can't give you everything he's been in because that'll be basically the whole interview. But to name a few, Miraculous. I had to throw that in there because my daughters love the show. Miraculous. He's been in Sailor Moon, One Piece, Bleach, Naruto, Full Metal Alchemist, Pokemon, Demon Slayers, Hunter x Hunter, Digimon Fusion, Boruto, Next Generations, and the list goes on and on of the amazing characters he played. We will be interviewing Christopher Smith today. How are you doing?
I am doing well. Wow, I'm bowled over by that introduction. That's going to be really hard to live up to.
Hey, man, you've been putting in the work for it. When I went through your IMDb, man, it was so difficult choosing in a short amount of time the characters to talk about today. So I picked some ones that I think the community will be, happy with. And also, hey, I got one of y'all fan favorites. If y'all don't know who he is, I gave y'all a little hint when I said Hunter x Hunter. So we're going to leave it at that before we get into it. But let's start off with something I would like to discuss on the DC side of things. You voiced the Joker, right? Probably one of the most iconic villains in pop culture. What was your initial reaction when you was told you got the role as the Crown Prince of Crime?
I was thrilled. And there's a funny story that leads up to that. I was working on a show for Nick Jr. called Monsuno, which is a show that I had the best time on, and I think about 12 people watched. That being said, I was working on it with a fellow voice actor named Cam Clark. And at one point, it was somewhere in season 2, I think, Cam turns to me and he goes, "How are your superhero voices?" And I had sort of recently done Superman in Mortal Kombat versus DC. So I was feeling a little cocky. I was like, "Pretty good. Yeah, don't mind saying. Yeah, pretty good." And he's like, "Okay, well, I'm directing a project. I want you to come and audition for me." I'm like, sure, absolutely. So the audition date and place were set, and I show up, and Cam is there, and his assistant is there, and they're handing out scripts for the auditions. And Cam says, "Okay, pick 3." And I'm like, "Huh, okay, well, I gotta do Superman." And he's like, "No, pick something else." I'm like, okay, the Riddler. "No, pick something else." Like, Batman? He goes, "No, definitely not. Here, try the Joker. Can you do the Joker?" I'm like, "Of course I can," because the answer is always yes.
Yes,
So
that's right.
I went about as far from the audition space as possible so that I wouldn't be overheard. And all of a sudden, I was honing in on the laugh, and I was trying to channel, of course, Mark Hamill, a little Cesar Romero from the '60s Batman, and a little Larry Storch, who was the voice actor who was the Joker in Super Friends in the '70s. And I'm just trying to kind of get the essence of all of those and not do an impression of any one of them. I wanted to make him my own. So I go back in, and it was the laugh and a monologue and "Thanks for coming in." And I'm like, "Okay, great. Well, hey, thanks. This was fun. I'll see you on the next Monsuno recording session." Next thing I know, I get the notification that I got the role. And I was so excited. I didn't know all that it would entail. I didn't know that it was going to be a movie and short films and all of these games and trailers and stuff. Basically, I didn't know that it was going to keep me busy for about the next, I don't know, 8 to 10 years. I would have melted, I think, had I known that. So I show up for the first day of recording, and the room is like a who's who of prominent voices. It was Batman was, or my Batman was Troy Baker. Charlie Schlaughter was Robin. I was also there with Steve Blum, Travis Willingham, Laura Bailey, Rob
Oh my
Paulson.
God.
Rob Paulson was the Riddler, which is why Cam just said, no, pick something else, because he had already cast. I think he already knew too that Troy was going to be Batman, Travis was going to be Superman. So it was like, well, try something else. But they didn't have someone for the Joker, which was very, very lucky for me. And so we gather in this room, and it's a big square, and everybody's sitting around the sides of the room up against the wall facing in. And I have the first segment of the script to do. And it's just like it was in the audition. It was the laugh and then this monologue. I am nervous as hell.
I could just imagine with all those stars around you.
I'm looking around the room and the voice is going through my head singing, one of these things is not like the other. And I mean, it was everybody that I mentioned, plus 3 of the Ninja Turtles from the 80s. And I was like, well, they liked what I did, so I'm just going to do that. And so the room got quiet, and they started to record, and I did the laugh, and I did the monologue, and I finished, and the whole room was quiet, and they were just looking at me. And I was looking at them, and I look over at Rob Paulson, who's sitting to my immediate right, and he's just kind of leaning back, and he goes, uh-huh, not bad, kid. And then I look around the room, and everybody's smiling. And on the outside, I'm like, oh, well, thank you very much, Mr. Paulson. I really appreciate that. You're an idol of mine, and your opinion really means a lot to me. And on the inside, I'm like, it's like a balloon that's flying around the room because somebody let the air out of it. I was just trying to keep it together, and I did. But that was my introduction to that cast of amazing talents who I then got to work with for the next, I don't know how many years. And it was just spectacular. And it is to this day, God, it's hard to pick a favorite character. It's hard to pick a favorite project because it's like picking a favorite child. But working on Lego Batman was definitely a pinnacle for me. And then moving forward a little bit, they paired me up with Clancy Brown, and the way they wrote it for the project that he and I worked on together, they wrote us like we were bickering like an old married couple. And we had the best time. He is the biggest sweetheart. He's like 7'12", and he's super intimidating, and he's got that voice, and he's the Kurgan from Highlander. And so, again, I'm meeting him, and I'm like, oh, Mr. Brown, hi, nice to meet you. And he turned out to be just the biggest sweetheart, and we had the best time working together. And I've run into him outside of the studio, and it's always, hey, how are you? Big hugs and stuff like that. So that's really cool. Big fan of Clancy Brown.
Hey man, that is such an awesome story. I was smiling ear to ear because just the names you was dropping and just being in that position and granted the opportunity to expand the Joker for 10 plus years and working on Batman Lego, especially, man, tilt my hat to you because what an amazing project and the energy that you brought into that character, man. I can't wait to see you come back and do more. Would you like to come back and do more as the Joker?
Oh my God, of course. Of course, I would take any opportunity. I was, doing my bit, and there were some other projects that they brought in other actors to play the Joker, but I was kind of the guy who did the games, and I felt like it was kind of safe because Mark Hamill had retired, and then Mark decided he wanted to come out of retirement and do the Lego Joker. So when Mark Hamill decides he wants to be the Joker, you got to kind of go, and after you, sir. So
he is a GOAT, though. I'm not even going to lie. Mark Hamill, like I don't want to say, put like revive the Joker because every
We totally
actor,
did. Oh yeah. Oh, you can totally
but
say. Yeah, absolutely.
but he definitely put the Joker like just the iconic voice
Oh,
of Mark Hamill.
hmm
Man, and let alone the range on that guy because when I found out that was Luke Skywalker doing the Joker voice, I couldn't believe it. Like my uncle told me, I'm like, that's not Luke Skywalker. He's like, no, that's the
hmm
Joker is Luke Skywalker. And when he showed me and proved it to me, I couldn't believe it. I was actually stunned. So the range you put in because you got such a crazy range too. You go from the Joker to a character, anime character we're about to talk about now. I know y'all been like, hey man, get to it, get to it. Ew, anime fans, I
True
had to
story.
hear that story, man. That story right there just made this whole interview for me and made a lot of this worth it. But my fans of my community, they love Kite. They love Hunter x Hunter. It's, they love this anime. It's one of the, as far as my community goes, I don't know about a lot of other people's communities out there, but my community, they feel like Hunter x Hunter should be part of the big three. They feel like it should be one of the
Yeah.
best animes of all time. And a lot of them, you don't even know the debates and arguments we get into in the Discord. But your character, right? Kite. Spoiler alert for anybody who hasn't seen Hunter x Hunter, but we're
Yeah.
gonna talk about his character and his arc and some of the situations that happen. But your character plays a pivotal role in Gon unlocking his final form with the situation that happens to Kite.
hmm
Now, what was it like being part of such a beloved franchise and playing such a fan favorite character from such a beloved anime?
Well, I didn't know at first that he was so beloved, that he was such a fan favorite. And in fact, the way I got cast and the way the role came about was kind of funny. It was about 2 years before we actually recorded Kite that I auditioned for it. The notice went out, and I went into the studio and got to read with one of my favorite anime directors of all time, Tony Oliver, and you know, laid it down, and we finessed it, and I was like, okay, great, I'll look forward to hearing from you. And crickets and tumbleweeds for 2 years, just nothing about it. We worked on other projects together. Other things came and went, and I'm like, oh well, I guess that's not happening. And then you get the call, or in this case, you get the email, and they're like, would you like to be the voice of Kite? I'm like, yes, I would. And so I came in to the studio, and we revisited the audition that I did, and we found that voice, and we narrowed in on what he was going to sound like, and just how serious he was going to be. And I was just having the best time with it. I'm like, oh, this guy is great. And I did not know the storyline. And we get to, what is it, Kite's episode 14, and I'm like, wait, what? Rewind, huh? Oh, and then they're like, don't worry, he comes back. I'm like, okay, all right, well, that's better. As a little girl, wait, what? You mean no? Okay, and it's like, well, I'm just grateful that Kite and I had this time together, even though gone too soon. But I love Kite. I think he's such a badass, and I play I play so many silly characters. I play so many unhinged characters. I play so many snarky douchebags that to have the opportunity to play a character like Kite, who is so grounded and so virtuous and so ethical and has such integrity, I don't get to do that very often.
Mm.
And I really kind of, I don't want to say I fell in love with the guy, but I kind of did. I'm like, I love this guy. And so, when he gets short shrift, I was like, oh wow, I'm really bummed about this. And then it was years later that I found out, because people at conventions would tell me they're like, he was supposed to be at the beginning too, and set some things up. And I'm like, no, I didn't know that. Well, that would have been great. Would have loved to have done that. So my experience with Kite was exhilarating, and I love meeting Hunter x Hunter fans. I love when people bring up stuff for me to sign as Kite. Um, I love doing the voice. I love like, damn, that was a bad spin. Any opportunity to sort of reconnect with Kite, I take it. And I do appearances sometimes with Bill Rogers, who's of course the voice of Crazy Slots, and he and I just have the best time.
At conventions, what is, because I know fans go crazy for Kite at the conventions.
They do.
What is like one of the most popular lines they get you to write on either prints or something like that?
Well, damn, that was a bad spin.
That's the one.
That's a big one. Um, God, I don't want to misquote him. Um, I would be paraphrasing. I can think of like bits and pieces of other lines, but again, I don't want to misquote.
Who's your most popular character at cons? Like ones that, because you play a lot. We're gonna get into some of them, but you play a lot of popular characters. What's one of the ones that sell the most?
Hmm. Uh, I would have to say it's either, and it depends on the event. It would either be Kite or Charizard
Hmm.
or Hantengu from Demon Slayer.
Ooh, that's interesting.
Because he is his pop just came out, I want to say about 2 months ago, and he's kind of the most recent
Villain.
big name, um, and people like him. I look at him and I go, oh my god, this guy.
One
Because
thing Demon Slayers did very well with their villains was the backstories of
they,
them, and he has such a compelling one.
he's got a compelling backstory, but god, and I don't want to go into spoiler territory.
You don't have to, but if you do, hey, ring the alarm. Listen, if you haven't seen Demon Slayers yet, man, we're about to get into spoilers or semi type spoiler territory. So, come back and enjoy the interview.
I'll try and keep it vague. Because he's such a, oh god, how to first describe him. He's so cringy. He whines a lot, and he's a coward, and he terrifying, terrifying. He's, and then you're like, oh wow, this guy, what made him like that? What is his backstory? And then you get to the backstory and you're like, wow, he was a dick to begin with. I mean,
Usually you feel sorry for him during the
everybody
story.
else you do. You're like, oh, that's so sad.
And him, he was
Oh,
an
my
asshole
heart
from the jump.
breaks for them. But no, not Hantengu. You're like, oh, yeah, well, getting beheaded is too good for him. So I would say those are my big three right now.
Okay,
Also Mewtwo,
Ooh,
the voice of Mewtwo from the Detective
Pokemon.
Pikachu games. Yeah,
Okay, speaking of big three, you've been in all of the big three. Naruto, even the spinoff with Boruto Next Generations,
right.
Bleach, and One Piece. Do you have a favorite out of the three?
Oh God. Again, it's like picking a favorite child. I loved playing Ibiki in Naruto and Naruto. Well, I think I came in on for Naruto Shippuden.
Yeah.
Um, and I just thought he was great. And they've done a handful of crossover episodes with Boruto where I've gotten to reprise that role. So I like him a lot. Again, he's very stoic and he's very Ooh, he's kind of an anti-hero, you know. It's
Yeah,
like
he's tough, man. He has like
a bad dude.
he has a mean aura around him.
He
Like,
does. He really does. But he's also very complex, and I like that about him. Uh, Bleach was a lot of fun. I loved playing Rose, and I loved playing Wonder Weiss, um, who also turns out to be a fan favorite. And people come up to me almost at least once a convention and go, "Do Wonder Weiss, do Wonder Weiss." And I never would have pegged that. Never, because maybe because he's so powerful and so yet so simple. Also in Bleach, I played a character named Matako Kibune. He was in a side quest. But God, none of them were as fun as Spandam in One Piece. Boy, talk about your snarky douchebags. Hate. That guy, wow, voted the second most despicable villain in anime. And I'm like, number two, I wasn't trying hard enough.
do you think we'll get to see him in the live action?
Ooh, I'd watch that. I don't know. I hope so.
I wonder how long, because One Piece has such a long arc or multiple arcs throughout the series that I don't think Netflix with the live action could, fit but so much into like 3-4 seasons. So
Oh,
I don't know if
definitely.
we'll be able to see him.
Who knows? Who
But if
knows?
we do, who would you fan cast as him?
Oh, geez. Let's circle back around to that. Maybe actually no, Doug Jones.
Doug Jones?
Doug Jones. I think Doug.
That's an interesting choice. I could see it. I definitely could see it. All right, so you would most likely out of the three go with One Piece because of the character and the meaning that it meant for you.
Well, yeah, and I mean, I just had the most fun with it, and I got to work with a good buddy of mine, Mike McFarland, was my director on that. And they would this was back in the day before we were all connected via this internet thing. So I had to travel to Texas to do all of my episodes, and I had a 52 episode arc, which was wonderful. So that meant I was going back and forth for about a year and a half, and I had the best time. Just had the best time. I've got so many friends in the Texas contingent that I just think the world of, and I got to spend time with them.
That's great, man, and that's interesting, and I love that answer for you because it's not even just about the anime and the character; it's about the experience you had, doing it and recording it. So that's awesome, man. Because nowadays, you're right; everything's done right where you at now. Everything's done inside the booth.
Yeah.
Now, 10 years ago, you got to play a character in the spinoff in the movie and also in the show Boruto Next Generation
Yes.
as the scientist who creates the ninja tool. Now, I do a lot of anime content on a game called Naruto the Boruto Shinobi Striker. That's where actually, I originated from. That's this is like a new side thing I'm starting to do with interviews and things like that and get into it. But I'm mostly like a host for a tournament I do called the Shinobi Pro League for that game. Now we're all Naruto fans and geeks, right? And with this new age and this spinoff, they introduced us to your character and his creation of the ninja tool, changing the whole, how we view ninjas and the futuristic aspects of what chakra has came to. What was it like being that character in the movie and also in the series?
Oh, we started out. He's had his character development has been interesting because he started out a little devious and a little angry. And he was always like, "Try this, young lord." He's like, "Damn, that dude, why is that dude so aggro? What is he upset about?" And he was kind of like that for a while. But then when they started bringing me into the series regularly, I noticed, oh, they've kind of toned him down a little bit. He's much more of a team player. He's not angry all the time, and he's kind of using his powers for good and not for evil. And I was glad to see that. I was glad to see that they kind of made him less of an antagonist, um, and more of a, again, more of a part of the team. Because the some of the adventures that they all got to go on were really fun. And I do play a lot of antagonists, and you don't always get to go along for the ride like you do when you're a hero or part of the hero's team. So I got to do a lot more and be in a lot more of the story because of the way they chose to finesse his character later on. And I appreciated that.
Now, speaking of the story, Boruto Next Generation took a huge hiatus, right? It's been off air for a while now, but I I don't know how true it is, but there's rumors coming back that it's definitely coming back. It's just a when and how. Now, I've heard they're trying to condense it to more of the modern style anime, doing 12 to 24 episode seasons instead of the, weekly episode type scheme to focus more on the animation and the story. And where what is it? The Blue Vortex, correct me in the chat, the new manga that's out for him. They wanted it to wanted to give it some space because the story was catching up to the manga side of things. So now my question is to you is how do you like your media? Would you rather the weekly, you know, by or weekly format of getting an episode, or do you like them, doing like little arcs, like 12 season arcs, 24 season arcs, things like that?
Well, it depends. If I'm watching it, then I kind of like to be able to binge as much as I want to at any time.
Mm.
If I'm in it, I want the show or each season to stretch out for as long as possible because I love being in it and I want to do as many episodes as possible. So I guess it depends on, well, since we're talking about Boruto and Boruto coming back, I would love for them to keep the same schedule and not condense it to like a streaming season of fewer episodes. So, but
Yeah, I'm just excited. Hopefully that we get it back sooner than later because when it comes to media for Naruto in general, they just canceled the game that they had in development. So the only game that we have right about now is Naruto the Boruto Shinobi Strike, and that's about a 6 to 7 year old game. So
yeah,
the gaming side of things is kind of like wacky. But speaking of gaming and also other series, my God, the amount of games you have done. Yo, just I promise you, I can't name them all. Google Christopher Smith and video games, and a whole category of pop up of all the work he's done, especially in one of the biggest franchises as far as video games go, Pokemon. I don't think nothing's bigger than that franchise. When it comes to video games, television series, toys, things like that, it's the biggest it gets. And you voice not one, but two fan favorites in Mewtwo and Charizard. Now, my God, how did you get involved in the Pokemon franchise, let alone be these two iconic Pokemon characters?
well, they were two separate studios, and
Oh,
I got asked to come in and do some work on Pokemon Origins, which I think it's 8 or 10 episodes or something like that. And it was a director and a studio that I've worked with forever. Like back when the Earth was cooling, I started working with them, and so I get the call, and they're like, "Hey, we want you to come in and work on this job." I'm like, "Sure, great." It's like I will just show up. I don't even need to know what it is. It's like it comes from you. I will show up and I will do whatever you need to do, because I love the work. And So I show up and they're like, well, it's Pokemon. I'm like, cool, because Pokemon is done primarily or had been done in New York. So it was not something that I had access to. And I said, okay, cool. Well, who am I going to play? And they're like, well, you're going to be, shopkeeper number 3, and you're going to be pedestrian B, and you're going to be third guy from the left who screams when he blows up. And I'm like, okay, whatever. And because I do a lot of batting cleanup.
A lot of
They'll
additional work.
a lot of additional, a lot of variety. They'll call me and we're like, hey, we got 17 characters left. Can you come in and do them all? I'm like, yeah, sure. And so we got to the end. I had done all my incidental characters, and they were like, oh, we need you to do the dragon. Like, don't you already have the dragon? Don't you just use the original? They're like, no, we don't. We need you to do the dragon. So stay and do the dragon. So I'm like, cool, okay. And so I did the roars for Charizard, for Pokemon Origins, for all the episodes that he was in. And I think at one point there's a super mega Charizard or something like that. He becomes something anyway. And oh, spoiler alert, beats Mewtwo. And but I didn't take it personally. And so and that was that. And I was like, oh, cool, so I didn't really give it much thought for a while, because I just thought, oh, I just roared, and they probably aren't even going to keep my voice, or they're going to put some kind of filter on it and it won't be recognizable as me. I was wrong on all those counts. I listened to it and I'm like, I can tell that's me. That's I'm the roar of Charizard. How cool is that? I was thrilled to finally be part of the Pokemon franchise. And then sometime after that, they reached out to me, and I auditioned for Mewtwo for the Detective Pikachu game. And I guess it did well enough, and they liked me well enough, because when Detective Pikachu Returns came back around, they reached out again, and Mewtwo has a lot to do in Detective Pikachu Returns. I had days and days of recording on that.
That's
It was
awesome.
so much fun. The first Detective Pikachu game, I only had one day. I went in and had about 4 hours. But yeah, on Detective Pikachu Returns, it was about 3.5 days, which is wonderful. We measure our employment in hours, so anything more than 4 hours is a gold mine.
That's awesome, man. I'm definitely happy for you because those are two iconic characters in the franchise. Speaking of iconic characters, how did you feel when they retired Ash? When they, let that character go?
That was
Because that was a shock.
that was weird. Um, I understand. I understand their reasoning. They're like, it's time to move on. It's been X amount of time, and we want to tell different stories. I'm like, okay, I got to respect that. That totally makes sense. But when you've had a series of characters that for a lot of people you've grown up with, or you've just come to know over the years, it's it's bittersweet. It's bittersweet because you're like, oh, I'm gonna miss those characters, but yay, I'm excited about what comes next, kind of thing, because they're great about that. The company's really wonderful about their character creation and the stories that they're telling and have planned to tell. So, you know, I support them 100% in that.
Yeah, let's see what the future does. I hope they bring him back in some type of cameo situation or an episode in Horizons. That'd be pretty dope. Now, out of those two characters, right, which one do fans go crazy for the most? Is it Charizard? I
Yeah.
figured. I'm like, man, Charles, because he was my favorite. Back in the day, I know with the games now you get different kind of starter Pokemons, but back in the day it was always Squirtle, Bulbasaur, and Charmander.
Charmander.
So
Yeah.
I always went with the Charmander, man. That was my favorite. Who would you have went with if you didn't voice Charizard? And out of those three, which one would it still be Charmander?
I think it would have been to start up. Can you do Mew as a startup?
Not in the video game. They only gave you those three.
It probably would have been Charmander then.
Okay,
No offense
now
to my friend Tara Sands, who voices the other two.
Bulbasaur. Yeah. Matter
Yeah.
of fact, speaking of that, right? If you could voice any other character in the Pokemon franchise, who would it be and why?
Jeez. We're gonna have to loop back around to this. I don't know.
All right, bet. Well, we're gonna go into some more, not too much about the questions, but more about your experiences and your career. Out of all the characters you voiced, who do you feel like were some of the most complex characters you voiced?
Wow. One of my all-time favorite characters, still 15 years later, is a character named Kite from a show called Gurren Lagann.
Hmm.
That was a show that I did back in 2008. If you haven't seen it, I highly recommend it. It's 24 episodes, so it's low commitment. It is still to this day one of the best shows I've ever seen and one of the best shows I've ever worked on. It's just epic. You literally start below the ground and you end up out in the universe, and that's all I will say. Go see it, and then we'll talk again.
Hey, I love recommendations because there's been a couple of voice actors that came on here and suggested some things, and I went and watched them, and man, they never miss. So I'm definitely going to check that out. Heroes, check it out, and maybe we can link up in the Discord and have a conversation about it. All right, are there any roles?
And I just wanted to add that when you'll hear the theme song and you'll go, "That's what that's from." And I'm not going to tell you what it is, but I guarantee that you will recognize it.
Oh, now you got me even more hyped. It's like a must watch for me now.
I hope
I'm
so.
definitely gonna check that out. So, is there any role that surprised you, either how you landed or how the fans reacted?
There have been shows that I thought, oh my God, this is such a fantastic show. The characters are so great, and the setup and story is so good, and they just didn't catch on for some reason. I did a show a few years back called Sakugan, and I play kind of a young doofusy dad, and of course, because it's anime, he's got a brilliant young daughter, and they're always at odds. And it's science fiction. You're not sure what kind of world it's on, but it's not Earth. And I just thought, what a great show! I love doing this show, and I love watching this show. And it's just one of those shows it's out there, and if it has an audience, it's a small one. But that really surprised me.
What's the name of it again?
It's called Sakugan. Sakugen. I want to say
Bakugan. That might be something my wife might be interested in because
Maybe
she
so.
loves stuff like that. Now, you voiced some iconic roles across anime, video games, cartoons. Is there any characters that really challenged you vocally?
Ooh, I did a character for the Street Fighter games.
You've been a part of that franchise for a while too.
I've done two different characters. And the first character that I did was for Street Fighter 4, then Super Street Fighter 4, Street Fighter X Tekken, and I think there was one other. And he's this roly-poly guy, and his name is Rufus. And he is very loud and bombastic, and and he's always shouting, "Ken Masters, I'm gonna get you." Well, as you can hear, that's very vocally stressful. So after 4 hours of that, it was a few days before I could talk again. So I tried to schedule all of my Street Fighter 4 sessions or all of my Rufus sessions on a Friday, so that I then had Saturday and Sunday to be completely quiet and recover.
Hey, I love the range though, man. Oh man, your range is wonderful. Are there any upcoming or ongoing anime shows you'll be interested in doing, or that you took interest in? Like, I wouldn't mind being part of this.
I'm in one that's currently taping, but I can't say what it is
Ooh,
because it's
NDAs and stuff like that. Hey, if it's something big, man, we wouldn't mind having you come back on the show.
Oh, I will be
I
happy.
love role announcements.
I will be happy to. And I am currently in one. Oh, and I'm blanking. I can see it. I can see my character and I can see the show, and I'm having a senior moment. Talk amongst yourself here. I'll look it up on
Hey, I'm not gonna lie, man. There's been stuff that I've talked to voice actors, and because of NDAs, they couldn't speak on it.
yeah.
And then like a month later, something huge drops for him, and I'll be so excited. Like Mauricio, big shout out to my guy Mauricio. We had him on the show. He came back and ended up landing the role as Nice in 2B Hero X. If there's any show I would love to see you on, Chris, man, is 2B Hero X. With your range,
I would love
man, I would love to see you in that show. I love that show so much.
that is yeah, that's one that's on my list. The show that I'm in right now and I'm really proud of it is Rurouni Kenshin.
Ooh, the remake. I had that on my list, but I had to minimize the questions. I really wanted to talk about it, but yeah, man, man, that is a good one. So if y'all been watching the remake of Rurouni Kenshin, which is really good, they have been hitting all cylinders when it comes to that. It's on go. Y'all gotta check it out. Tell them a little bit about your character.
I play Okina, who is he's the old guy, but he's the old badass warrior. He's the guy who used to be deadly and still has a lot of his skills, but he's kind of the Obi-Wan for the show. But he's very energetic, he's very funny, and I have a really, really good time with him. Working with a buddy of mine directing it, Steve Staley. Just we have a terrific time every time we go into the studio. There was another show that I did somewhat recently. It was out a few months ago, and it was probably the creepiest thing I've ever seen. Uzumaki. Yes.
On Adult Swim. Yeah, that one was kind of crazy, man. That one. Christina V was also in that with you, and Steve Kramer, I believe.
Yeah.
It was that, man. If y'all haven't seen it, it's definitely a different type of anime, kind of a little spooked out, but it's definitely a good one. And you're also in Avowed.
I am in Avowed. Yes.
Also in Monster Wild or something like that. Monster Hunt.
Yes, Monster Hunter Wilds. Yeah, I'm Daryl in Monster Hunter Wilds. So if you get tired of hunting monsters and you want a side quest, come see me, and I will give you a side quest. That's what Daryl does. And in Avowed, I am among other characters. I play Stedman Rolk, who is your very first boss fight when you land on the island.
Okay. Now the next couple of questions are universal questions.
All right.
I ask all my guests these, but it's only your opinion that matter. We want to hear your answers, basically.
Okay.
Now, sometimes we get some of the same answers, but I want to hear who inspired you, who whether it's a peer, whether it's somebody you looked up to, whether it's somebody who, that you cherish today. What is your Mount Rushmore of voice actors? Only put 4 on here.
Okay, 4. Well, I'm going to go with two that I knew personally. They were my mentors when I was first starting out. The first one would be a man named Dawes Butler. Dawes Butler was the man of 1,000 voices for Hanna-Barbera. He was Yogi Bear, Quick Draw McGraw, Huckleberry Hound, Captain Crunch. Yeah, I mean, look him up. He did hundreds of original characters, and I was privileged to study with Dawes for about 6 years, back in the day, up until he got sick and died.
Oh man, R.I.P.
And he was a wonderful human being too, just absolutely wonderful. He was like 5 feet tall, and you're like, and he does the voice of Yogi Bear, and you're like, how can the voice of an 8-foot bear come out of a 5-foot guy? Second would be a name that's less familiar to people, and that's a woman named Ginny Tyler. Ginny was one of the original Mouseketeers back in the 1950s. And funny story, when I was a kid, my parents bought me record albums of the Disneyland. It was the Disneyland storybook teller, I think, or something like that. Anyway, they took the Disney movies, and they took audio clips from the Disney movies, like Lady and the Tramp and Bambi and Peter Pan and Alice in Wonderland, and they would tie those together with narration. And it was always the same woman narrating all of them. And my parents got me the set, and I wore those things out for years. I listened to them. I was crazy about them. So flash forward to 18-year-old me. I have moved to Los Angeles, and I decided I was going to take broadcasting classes at a community college. And one of the classes that they offered was a voiceover class for cartoons, and it was being taught by Ginny Tyler. So I signed up for it, and I'm like, okay, whatever. I'm first day of school, and I'm sitting there, and I'm drawing shit in my notebook or something like that, and the teacher walks in, and I didn't even notice, and she starts to talk, and I get chills going down my back, because it's the voice from those Disneyland albums that I had grown up listening to. That was Ginny Tyler. She wound up being she was my first voiceover teacher. She became a dear friend and wound up getting me work in voiceover for 15 years. She was the reason that I started working on Captain Harlock and Robotech back in the day. She got me my first game on, or my first gig on a video game, which was called Marvin the Moose back in the 80s, which was more, it was more just a slideshow than anything else. But hey, I made $50 on that. And I'm like, dude, I have arrived. I made $50. So Dawes Butler, Ginny Tyler,
got two more.
Two more. I'm going to go with another voice from Hanna-Barbera, an actor named Gary Owens from back in the day, who is he did a lot of voiceover work, and he was this kind of guy. He did everything that he did was sort of like this, but I grew up listening to him and just thinking he was terrific. And the fourth person would be a current voice actor and personal favorite of mine, Cindy Robinson. Cindy Robinson is the voice of Amy Rose in Sonic the Hedgehog, and was Queen Beryl in Sailor Moon, and 400 or 500 other things. And she's also my wife. So,
let's go. Drop a bomb for wifey.
So she's pretty awesome. She's pretty darn awesome.
That's what's up, man. How did y'all meet? Did y'all meet like?
We met in the booth. We did.
Let's go, man. Congratulations on that. That's awesome.
We met 20 plus years ago, and we were good friends for 10 years, and then we've been together for 11 years, married for 3.
Love it, man. Congratulations, man.
I,
Hey, wifey got some love, man.
she
Shout
deserves
out one more time for those who don't know.
Cindy Robinson. She deserves all of it and more. Look her up; you'll be impressed.
Definitely. So now, who are your top 5 fictional characters of all time? You can go books, movies, TV series, cartoons, anime.
Mm-hmm. 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 Well, I don't know if these are in order of importance, but they'll be in the order that they come to me. One is Kermit the Frog.
Hey, Kermit, man.
I just love everything Kermit is about. He's so sincere. He's got a great sense of humor. He wrangles all those other misfit Muppets, and he does his best. And I just love him. Um, and again, an aside, for a brief shining moment, I was an official alternate voice of Kermit the Frog for Disney character voices.
Oh, let's go.
Jumped through the hoops and got approved, and but the phone never rang. So
Ah.
you know, it be like that sometimes, as my son likes to say. But I was very proud to have been selected. It's an honor just to be nominated, as they say at the Oscars. Other fictional characters. Han Solo.
Oh, Han
I
Solo's a good one.
I love me some Luke Skywalker, but I love the devil may care attitude of Han Solo, and he's been a character that has influenced a number of my characters along the way. Um,
That's a good one. I like that one. I like Han Solo.
so
That's a
he's
good one right there.
right up there. There's a character that anyone under probably anyone under 40 won't know, but it's from the original 1978 Battlestar Galactica, not the Ron Moore remake, which is just brilliant. But when I was little, I watched just the hell out of it, and I wanted to be the character of Lieutenant Starbuck. Lieutenant Starbuck he's kind of the TV version of Han Solo, except he was blonde. And
So you like those characters. So you got Han
I
Solo,
do.
Starbuck, Captain Starbuck, and
uh,
Kermit the
Kermit,
Frog.
one of the well, I mean, and I have to go back to another show that influenced me when I was a little kid. When I was, oh God, 6 or 7, there were reruns on TV of the 1960s animes, the classic animes, the Speed Racer and Astro Boy, and I know Ultraman's not an anime, but I was huge into Ultraman, and
Yeah.
Kimba the White Lion. Kimba the
Mm.
White Lion was well, it kind of very much like Lion King, very much like Lion King. And I loved Kimba the White Lion so much. When I was 7, I wanted to die and come back as Kimba the White Lion. I had no idea how animation worked at all, but I obviously had a full working knowledge of reincarnation when I was 7 to think that I could die and come back as Kimba. So I'm gonna have to go with Kimba as a huge influence. Um, ooh, okay. And then number 5, there was a show, again back in the 60s, an animated show called Johnny Quest.
Hey man, they don't know about Johnny Quest, man. Johnny Quest was my joint.
Johnny Quest.
Why wouldn't they make a reboot of that or like a movie or something, man? Do something with Johnny, man.
have been trying to do a live action version for probably 30 years, but it just doesn't go anywhere. And there have been a couple of reboots of an animated show. And they were fine. You know, they were good. They were very good attempts. There was the character of Roger Race Bannon. And Race Bannon was the ex-Secret Service bodyguard who looked out for Johnny and his dad. And Race was just the coolest guy. And I'm like, oh, I want to be Race Bannon when I grow up. Well, flash forward a whole bunch of years, and I'm working on the show that I was working on with Cam Clark, Monsuno. And I get this call from the story editor, who's also the story editor on Scooby-Doo Mystery Incorporated over at Warner Brothers. And he's like, dude, we need a Race Bannon voice. Can you do it? And I'm like, of course, because we've established the answer is always yes. So there was one episode where Scooby-Doo was doing a crossover with Johnny Quest and Blue Falcon and Dynomutt. And they needed Dr. Quest and Race Bannon. So they got me to be Race Bannon, and they got the amazing Eric Bauza to be Dr. Quest. And it was the most fun. We all were in the room with Frank Welker and the cast of Scooby-Doo. It was the best time. So that's going to be number 5 is my Race Bannon, and it comes with a story.
Hey, I love it, man. I love every choice that you had on there. Awesome. And I love when lists hit home and they're personal for the guests. I love that list for you. Now, this comes to the end of a great, great episode, man. I had so much fun. But let the heroes and villains out there know where they can find you at on social media.
Oh, on all the socials. Well, on the Instagrams. Yes, the Instagrams, because I'm old. It's at Get Me Smith. And on X/Twitter, it is also at Get Me Smith. And if anybody does Facebook, Christopher Smith, voice actor. But follow me. Chances are really good I'll follow you back.
Hey, heroes, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Remember, we got the Nintendo Switch giveaway happening. All you got to do, simply just like, comment, and subscribe to enter. And at the milestone, I'll take a look at the analytics, see who's been really supporting the channel. We'll pick a winner randomly. Big shout out to our last giveaway winner, BK Numbers, for winning the PS5 giveaway. I thought about doing another PS5, but the Switch 2 just came out. I thought it'd be more appealing. But let me know in the comment section which one we should do. Also, let me know in the comment section which one was Christopher Smith's favorite character for you that you enjoyed the most. And also follow him on all social medias. Links will be provided for you in the description below. Oh, I almost had a brain fart. And in the comments section. And as always, heroes, please love yourself, pass that love on and love others. And if nobody told you so, just know your boy love you. Signing out, voice of the hero.
Sing it with me.